welcome back to Barnstable This Morning. It's Wednesday, November 5th. I'm Sarah Colvin.
I'm Len Gobeil, excuse me.
A little hoarse this morning.
I'm a little hoarse, yelling at my television last night.
I guess so. Always a very exciting day, that election night, you know, and you look at the races across the country, and of course I like to pay more attention to what's going on here locally, but always interesting to see those results come in and see how people are voting and see who they're voting for and who ends up winning. Again, a great turnout. I have to, give a hand to the people of Barnstable for coming out to vote. It would be nice if all the voters came out to vote, but I think that 57% is a pretty respectable amount.
Good number. Now, I got to say something, and I hope it doesn't sound too dumb, but I used to be a history teacher at Barnstable High School, and as you work through the history of the United States, you tell the students that you have an election and people go out and they vote and some win and some lose, and the next day it's business as usual. And you think about Europe and you think about other countries across the world. There are tank battles and fires and people getting killed and murdered, in South America, all kinds of crazy things going on. So we do live in a wonderful country, and I know this is patriotic and I hope it doesn't sound dumb, but we live in a wonderful country where you can say, I want to vote for this girl or this woman or that man or whatever, and they win or they lose, and you go the next day, as we are now, and you say, okay, here's what happened, and look outside. There are no tanks. There's nothing going on.
No.
And it's a great country. It really is.
That's nice. That really does put things into perspective, because we do, everybody tends to complain about, things and whatever, and we do have it pretty good in this country. And,
we do.
And to have the choice of who we want to represent us is a good thing.
And with freedom of speech, we're able to sit here and say, that was good, that was bad, that was not good, that was bad, or whatever.
Indeed.
All right, so let's go.
Yeah,
Baker beats Coakley for governor.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because we have, obviously, Deval Patrick has been our governor for some time now. 2006, I think, was when he was first elected.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I will always remember that, because that was when I was a brand new reporter working for Cape Cod Broadcasting, and one of my first assignments was to go cover when Deval Patrick got elected.
Right.
He held inaugural events all across the state.
Correct.
And he had one here in Hyannis, and I remember going to it and being all excited because I got to interview the governor, and how cool is that, So anyways, don't know if Charlie Baker is going to do anything like that, but he did win last night, beating Attorney General Martha Coakley.
And when we went on the air this morning, it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and she hadn't conceded yet.
Really?
So I don't know if she has actually conceded the race as we broadcast right now, but that should come, and Mr. Baker should be our next governor.
Indeed, and here in Barnstable, we do have the unofficial results, so we'll talk about what our Barnstable voters said, and 57% of our Barnstable voters did vote for Baker Polito, with Martha Coakley and Kerrigan just getting 38% of the vote.
Right.
And there were some independent candidates as well that got a little bit of the vote, but, Barnstable voters did vote 57% in favor of Charlie Baker. One
of the things, too, and I can't tell you which one it is, but one of the independent candidates received 3% of the vote. And Jennings Falchuk, I believe it was, received 3% of the vote, which now means his party is now an official party, and he can run again if he wants.
And, there's been a lot of talk about, people wanting that other party, wanting, either an independent or a libertarian or whatever. And so it seems that people are going out there and trying to vote in support of those parties. Correct. So let's move on a little. What do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about, I've got it on this document over here. Mantle beats DePrales by 205 votes. And so Brian Mantle will be our state representative from the 5th District?
Second Barnstable District. Second Barnstable District.
And he will be our representative for another 2 years.
Yep, this is his second term. So
Randy Hunt beats Matt Terry.
Yep, Randy Hunt, Republican. He's been a long-time state rep as well, and he represents the 5th Barnstable District, Republican. And
one of the things that Randy Hunt talked about during the campaign was that I am an accountant. And I'm not a lawyer, and there's too many lawyers up on Beacon. I'm an accountant. So if you elect me again, you re-elect me, I want you to know that we're going to look at everything from an accountant's point of view. And that was one of the the major things that he talked about in his
Right.
race. And he won.
And Representative Hunt also has worked really hard to deal with the substance abuse issue. I think that's one of his
Right.
really causes that he's passionate about, and has done a lot of work in getting the Assist Act passed, and ways in which to help on Narcan, things like that, treatment
Correct.
instead of punishment. So really been looking at some unique ways in which our community can solve that problem. So
Right.
I think he will obviously continue to do that.
And not that it matters, but Randy Hunt is a Republican.
He
and,
is.
Matt Terry was a Democrat running in that race. But
That's
so
right.
Randy Hunt wins. Tim Whalen beats Elisa Zawadkis.
And that was the first Barnstable district race. Of course, Cleon Turner, again, another longtime state rep, he decided he did not want to continue his role, so it was an open seat. Interesting election there. Of course, first Barnstable district represents a very small portion of Barnstable. It's mostly
The village of Barnstable.
Exactly, just
And
precinct 1
Cumberquid.
here in town, Cumberquid, exactly.
Right.
But Tim Whalen, Republican, will be the new first Barnstable state rep, and we'll welcome him on to Barnstable this morning at some point.
And he is a former state trooper, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
That's
think
right.
so? Okay. Now, I put these two together for a particular reason, and let's talk about Dan Wolf beating Ron Beatty.
Okay,
Dan Wolf is our state senator.
he is.
He has been very active, and he's always in the news, always doing something, and doing something good, and the people want to reward him for being, I believe, this is my opinion, I think the people of the Cape Cod and Islands District wanted to reward him by re-electing him because he's a good legislator.
Done a good job as
Right.
our senator,
So
absolutely.
Ron Beatty loses. And then let's go to the Assembly of Delegates and Patrick Princey, who has served a couple of terms as the Assembly of Delegates representative for the town of Barnstable. And guess who he beat?
Ron Beatty,
Ron Beatty. So Ron Beatty was on the ballot twice,
he was.
and Dan Wolf won, and Patrick Princey won as well.
That's right.
Now let's talk about our United States representative from Cape Cod and the Islands.
The ninth
and
district.
It actually goes a little bit further north than that. I think it goes up into the Plymouth area.
I believe so, yes.
Yep. Bill Keating beat John Chapman. That was a very close race.
It was a very close race. It really
Not
was.
decided to the wee hours.
Indeed, and I have to say, I heard I do a lot of radio listening and heard a lot of ads, a lot of John Chapman ads for the past 3 months, I think.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of those ads, so certainly he ran a tight campaign, but our 9th District Congressman will continue to represent us in Washington.
And this is the first time that Bill Keating gets re-elected.
That's right.
So he has been serving for 2 years, and now he will serve an additional 2 years in a Congress, which we don't talk about, that is dominated by Republicans, as will the United States Senate be
Yes.
dominated, well, maybe not dominated by Republicans, but they're going to have,
The
I
majority.
think, the majority, and that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
We have a new county commissioner, of course, Bill Doherty, longtime commissioner, has stepped down, and Leo Kukunis won that race. That was actually kind of a surprise, to me, at least.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say the same thing. Now, I've known Mark Forrest for a long time. I know you have known Mark Forrest for a long time. Mark worked in the town of Provincetown for
Yep.
a while, and then he did a number of other things.
Aide to Bill Delahunt.
And then he was an
most
aide to Bill
recently.
Delahunt for a long time.
Teaches at the college.
Teaches at the college, and I really thought that with his connections in the entire Cape Cod, the county of Barnstable, that Mark Forrest would win that race. But Mr. Kukunis is well known.
Yes.
It's not like he is an unknown. He is well known.
Very well known.
He's done a lot
Former
for
member
the
of
county.
the Assembly of Delegates,
A member of the
exactly.
Assembly of Delegates. He knows a lot of people. Been around the Cape for a long time. And so Mr. Kukunis beat Mark Forrest.
That's right. All right, Lenny, we are running out of time, so let's get to those ballot questions real quick before we have to say goodbye.
Casino gambling stays.
People said yes, we want the casino gambling.
Increased fees for the water bottle issue. That was defeated.
That was not a surprise to me. I think that, whereas we're very used to paying that 5-cent deposit on carbonated beverages, I don't think people wanted to pay anymore, and obviously they didn't because that's how they voted, so no bottle bill.
That, by the way, this was a state mandate, not a state mandate, but a state issue. So we're talking about the entire state
Yes,
voted
the entire state, exactly.
against this. And there were two sides to this. And side one is we got to recycle more, and side two is why should we have to pay more?
Exactly.
The gas tax indexing, which was question one, that was defeated.
Defeated.
Yeah.
So
And I
it was
think a lot of-
defeated in that we will not have any more gas tax increases tied to inflation?
Tied to inflation.
Great.
Right. And in addition to that, I think the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts said that rather than just let that go as a rise in taxes year after year after year, we're going to keep our state representatives and our state senators accountable, and they're going to have to be the ones to vote to raise those taxes.
That's right.
And paid sick leave for those people who don't have paid sick leave, that is now, or will be, as soon as it's official, will be law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Earned sick time one. I know that was an issue that Cape and Island State Senator Dan Wolf worked very hard on.
Right.
So congratulations to all the supporters for that. Well, Len, I think that wraps up our election 2014 rundown.
A three-part series here on
It
Barnstable
was
This Morning.
a three-part series, so I thank you for joining us for the last 3 days, and we'll be back to normal tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see.